If you wonder how John Lennon's death came to be compared to a basketball game by Sean Lennon, it's because that's what it was. It was a group project and it resembles a basketball game. The dribbling had me in D.C. with Natanya, who's FEMA attorney Miles Kirshner, from Wesley Poswas administration at the University of Pittsburgh. When Reagan claimed he was shot, he came out and waved to me the night before. They gave me a brochure. There's no such thing as objective reality, only what the jury believes. Pentagon Disney, in other words. But they're dribbling, they pass out. Jimmy Curry was siding with the killers. They tried that one. Well, it turns out that Jimmy Curry was visiting Ronald Reagan's attorneys for Netanyahu from the University of Pittsburgh FEMA. It certainly had nothing to do with it. And say, well, he could have saved John Lennon, so we'll jinx him with Reagan's assassination. So they came up with the story, dribbling, could have saved John Lennon. And they passed that to Reagan and Netanyahu's attorneys to explain Mount Desert Island, where there was a second Holocaust simulation experiment. And letting the way they say I could have saved John Lennon was a script from Netanyahu's attorneys from the FEMA, who they never arrested. Again, had nothing to do with me. So I saw the letters, but I was too young to understand them. So they're dribbling. And Yoko Ono gets on the phone with the help of Donald Trump and calls Alexander Dugin, who's popular at the University of Pittsburgh, Vladimir Putin, who's also popular at the University of Pittsburgh, among these scientists, these people who wrote these letters, the Vienna Circle. They're all very cahooter. They rip off the museum. John Schulman's attaché Yermanahazi was in the same room as Peter Ustinov at one point. So they're, dribbling, passing the basketball. Yevgeny Yevdoshenko, Peter Ustinov, Alexander Dugin. Yoko Ono, with the help of Donald Trump, gets Kim Il-jung on the phone. It says, Kim Il-jung, we want you to work with us on a psychological operation involving the white. And the NAACP is on board with it. The NAACP has never said a word about Gaza. Peter Gabriel's attaché for hair chased me around with a syringe, poisoning me, giving me Parkinson's, threatening to kill me. And this was called Amnesty International. That's what they were calling themselves, Amnesty International. While they were raping, torturing, and murdering, and lying about Mount Desert Island and what happened in the District of Columbia, as well as what happened in Pittsburgh. They lied about the whole thing, but they have this basketball dribble, pass it to Kim Il-jung, pass that basketball to Sherman Alexie and Spike Lee, passing the dribbling, passing the basketball back and forth. Keep away from queer ball, monkey in the middle. So it resembles a basketball game. And they kept it all secret because, for one thing, the evidence raises serious questions about the role of Oliver Stone, Pentagon, Disney. Why were they continuing to cooperate and work with the administration who they claim implicated me in these shootings? Because the only connection I had to these claims of shooting, which looked to me like they were staged by Hollywood magic. And I'm the missing link that proves that fact, that the script was actually a Houdini black box tracing back to the counterfeiters in Fayum who mentored D.W. Griffith and Mussolini, the age of the great dictators and Hollywood moguls who produced Ronald Reagan throughout World War II. They invented the Burning Cross for the KKK. It looks like a magical mystery show, so to speak, with Donald Trump and Paul McCartney slapping five at the Hollywood Magic Show. The only connection I had to any of that were these attorneys from the FEMA working in Westmoreland County, where Mel Gibson's father is. Mel Gibson's brutal conspiracy. He's extremely brutal. They brutally torture me. I'm severely injured, and help never came because of this basketball game. They're like, keep away from queer ball. And they keep passing the basketball to the people who they admit were the only tie to my having done it. So why is Sean Lennon passing the basketball to the people who he claims killed his father? To humiliate someone who everyone knows had nothing to do with it. And women of the Pittsburgh and Seattle left had a lot to do with this. They were playing this game that I was being a rejected lover. Because of my deafness, I was rejected lover. And I deserved it because I was envious for being a rejected lover. And they used the nerve agent on me that caused neurological envy. And the girl who I dated for a year was still a virgin. Robert Fripp came down from his flying saucer with Peter Gabriel and Brian Eno and said, we're going to say that virginity proves rape. And the girl who was still a virgin even denied it. They said, that doesn't matter. We're going to hotwire it into this neuroplasm. And Blinken's going to rapid eye movement it. And we're going to prove through Svengali extrasensory perception that virginity proves rape. And they're touching each other's hands. Did you feel tension when he released you? And this was the sort of mentality, and they drove me into seizures through neurohypnotic. They used the cowardly attack by a hired girl. Obviously, they're not going to put a girl on a guy who they think is a rapist. So they knew that that was all bogus. But they saw the joke, and they blew up the neuroplasms. She sexually attacked me in the brain. And this is what they did. And the whole time they were ripping off the museum for millions of dollars, and I was trying to get help from the post office. I reported it to the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. I reported it to the Pittsburgh Police Department. Now what are they doing? They're basically generic version of nuclear bombing the house next door. Gaza's just the house next door. And they just kept picking on Gaza and picking on Gaza and picking on Gaza and picking on Gaza until Gaza threw a rock at them or something. And now they're bombing them to smithereens. And it was all set up, the plan to do that. And who do you think is to blame for it? People are getting chased out, for one thing. People like George Galloway, somebody's going to kick him on the rear end soon for his complicity in all of this. And Brian Eno, David Bowie, they thought the whole thing was the funniest thing that they'd ever dreamed up. And that's the truth of it. They dreamed it up.